welcome to Huntsville Coffee Break. I'm your host, Megan Herring. Today we'll be taking a tour through Huntsville, looking at historical sites such as the Wynn Home and the Homestead. We'll also be talking about redistricting plans for Huntsville. All that coming up on Huntsville Coffee Break. The first item on today's show is the Wynn Home. Here to tell us more about this historical site is Megan Bridges.
Made a Texas landmark in 2007, the Wynn Home is a 19th century style mansion where the members of the Wynn family actually lived in from 1883 up until it was donated to the city of Huntsville in 1997. Today, the Wynn Home is known to many of the local citizens as an art gallery and a visitor center. Local artists can come to the Wynn Home and submit their art to be showcased for months at a time. The Wynn Home Art and Visitor Center is a place that shows Huntsville's heritage, history, and culture. I'm Megan Bridges here at the Wynn Home. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Megan. And here to tell us more about the Wynn Home is Linda Pease. Linda Pease, can you please elaborate about yourself?
Well, thank you, Megan. I'm very happy to be here today, first of all, and I serve the city as the Cultural Services Coordinator, and that includes operating the Wynn Home Art Center. And that's what we're going to talk about today, I understand. We have several other things that are part of the job, such as historical markers and taking care of some other cultural projects like the Cultural District.
Can you tell me about the Art Center? Like, how can someone submit art to the Art Center?
The Art Center does have an art gallery, and we have regular rotating exhibits there. And people can submit art that they would like to have shown there, either their own or art that they own of other people's, or they can recommend someone totally outside their realm of living. So we have forms, and people can fill out forms. It includes a place for people to give contact information, a little bit of information about the artist, and we have about 3 to 4 shows in the gallery a year. And we've had wonderful ones in there, from metal shows by Charles Pebworth, abstract art of Stanley Lee, local artists, competitive shows that include a variety of different media. We just had a quilt show. There are shows of Colonel Thomason's artwork, who sketched during the war and was a war hero, and your Thomason room is named for him. So all kinds of exhibits take place in the main gallery in the Wynn Home. In addition, there's a Friends Gallery. So that's a gallery where lots of art is shown at once. It changes out often. Things are all for sale in that gallery. It is strictly for local artists, local and area artists, to show their work. And so we've had a number of featured artists in there, but we've shown some 100 artist works in that gift shop.
Are there also classes that people can take at the Wynn Home?
Absolutely, yes. One of the things when we studied what people would like to have in such an art center, classes was one of the things that was very important. So our charge was to go there and have educational arts taught there. We have 2 classrooms and a pottery studio. So with those, plus the great outdoors, and we have an herb garden at the Wynn Home now, thanks to the Texas Time Unit and Herb Society. And so there's lots of things to study there. We have everything from painting and drawing, paper mache, Pilates, dance, ballroom dance, jazz dance, ballet, lots and lots of all kinds of arts, photography, and the list goes on and on. In fact, if someone has something that they'd like to take and calls up and asks, then it's very likely that we would do some research and see if we could add that to our list.
Do you ever need volunteers at the Wynn Home?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the house practically runs with volunteers. There is a volunteers organization called Friends of the Wynn, and they provide many volunteers, but one doesn't have to belong to that to volunteer there. But it's very important, and people can get in touch with us by calling 291-5424 or by getting to www.thewinhome.com. So we look forward to seeing people there.
Thank you, Ms. Pease, for educating us a little bit about the Wynn Home. We're going to head out to Megan, who's at a historical Huntsville restaurant.
Thanks, Megan. I'm here at the Homestead on 19th, a very historical restaurant. It's actually the oldest occupied log cabin here in Huntsville, Texas. I hear there's a lot of cool food and interesting history, so follow me and let's check it out. What was this? Was this always the homestead, or was this building served for another purpose before?
There's quite a history, and really on different levels, about this property and these buildings. It's part of what makes the homestead so very special, I think. And I think first and foremost, as a restaurant, it has to be with the product, with the quality of the food and the quality of service, if you want to consider yourself special, and we really do.
Yes.
In fact, I'm so proud of what the homestead represents and what it offers and brings to the community. And then there are the buildings themselves, these cabins,
Yes.
which were all assembled here back in 1980. You had asked what was before. This property enjoyed its first incarnation was a restaurant, and then it was basically idle for a number of years.
Okay.
Until I came along in '95.
Scooped it on up.
Scooped it up. But it's such a special property. The front cabin is the oldest occupied structure in all of Walker County, built in
wow.
1834 by a
1834?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, by a German immigrant who raised 13 kids in the house. He and his brother fought in the Texas Revolution. I believe his uncle was at the signing at Goliad.
Oh.
So they were a rich part of Texas history. In fact, this land was farmland, was Sam Houston's farmland.
Okay.
Back when he actually lived here. The duck pond was actually there when they lived there, when he and Margaret lived there.
How long have you been cooking as a chef? How did you get here to the five-star dining and the excellent food and the homestead?
I flipped my first burger at 15 years of age in the Bowling Alley Cafe, where I used to hang out as a young juvenile delinquent.
Was that here in Huntsville?
No,
or?
this was in Dallas.
Dallas.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I won't tell you how old I am now, but it's been it was a long time ago. So I've worked in food and beverage all my life, virtually, and most of that was in Dallas. I actually started seriously cooking in Hawaii. The family moved to Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
I kind of cut my culinary teeth in Hawaii, which was a great experience because of all the different culinary ethnic cuisines and so forth that are there. But then I moved back to Dallas and spent most of my career in hotels and city clubs in Dallas. And so I've been doing this a long time. And moved down here about, 16 years ago, specifically to do the homestead. My parents were down here in Huntsville.
And how long has the homestead really been here?
We opened in 1995.
Chef, tell me a little bit about what we see on the plate right here.
This fabulous new dish, which is a crab Benedict.
Tomato, our crab cake, a poached egg, and then our homemade hollandaise right over the top of that.
Okay, so what goes into the hollandaise sauce?
Hollandaise is one of the mother sauces, and
Okay.
basically it is egg yolks and butter, clarified
Okay.
butter. Yeah, so if you're watching your cholesterol, you don't want this sauce, but
Everybody kind of...
yeah.
Think
It's
about
like a breakfast plate on an Oscar dish, something with sauteed crab.
And then our fruit salad here.
Yes.
Just seasonal fresh fruit, whatever we've got in season and ripe and juicy. We dress the fruit salad with a tequila poppy seed dressing, which
Yes.
gives it a unique flair. It's very innocuous, though, in terms of the tequila.
It's delicious.
It's a little bit of cheap tequila, fresh lime juice and sugar, and the poppy seeds.
Yes.
And it gives the fruit a nice bite.
Thank you again, Chef John, for sitting down with me and talking about the crab Benedict and the fruit salad. Thank you for watching Huntsville Coffee Break. We'll be back after this public service announcement.
Like slavery, poverty is not natural. It is man-made and can be overcome by the actions of human beings.
A person like this, the good Lord gonna bless us, here, putting them on us, and we can bear them. I mean, it's not easy for anyone. All races are hurting real bad.
For myself, I would just like to be able to have a house where my children could come to and feel safe and comfortable even when they come visit. So.
I mean, it's a lot more that, the government can do for us, Well, they're wasting their money and spending their time and money on.
Poverty is real bad. People just don't know how it is until they have to live through part of it. Struggling from one meal to the next, I just struggle to make it. That maybe tomorrow will be a little better, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I just struggle to make it.
You can help someone fight poverty.
Hi, and welcome back to Huntsville Coffee Break. The city of Huntsville, just like any other city, went through a process in 2011. For the next 10 years, new wards have been set up within the city limits. Here to tell us about this process of redistricting is City Secretary Lee Woodward.
Thanks for having me.
Ms. Woodward, can you tell us about what redistricting is?
Redistricting is basically a process whereby populations are reapportioned into wards or districts. This is basically the one person, one vote idea, so that each eligible citizen has the same ability to affect elections and the electoral process.
And how is this process related to citizens of Huntsville?
Well, the citizens need to understand the process so they can know if it's being conducted fairly, or so that they could weigh in on potential maps for the new districts, that type of thing. As with anything, the more you know about it and the more involved you are, then the more certain you are of the outcome.
Okay, and when will this map take effect?
Well, the map that was approved by the council this year will take effect next year. It will not affect the November 2011 election. The county is in the process of using this map to create their own map with new precincts. And of course, you'll see this on the state and federal level as well, as we've seen throughout this year. Well, this map, as I said, has been approved by the council. It's going to the Department of Justice for them to approve or not. It's a process called pre-clearance. And the map is based on population in the wards and trying to formulate new ward lines. We want to have as small a variation as possible between the size of the wards. And here in Huntsville, we have a somewhat unique situation because we also have prison populations of prisoners who don't vote. And that's something that has to be taken into account as well.
Is there any way this map would not get approved?
I think it would be very unlikely for Department of Justice not to approve the map. That's always a potential, every time that you redistrict, because what they're looking at is the voting strength of particular groups, and they don't want that voting strength lessened on pretty much anyone's behalf, which is a fair sort of description of redistricting in itself, that it keeps every group and every individual's voting strength relatively equal.
Okay, and how is this map different from last year's?
Well, our current map has Ward 2 coming down here and around the top of Elkins Lake, and it also has the Avenues area split on 19th Street. So you'll see that's changed in this map that's upcoming for next year. Ward 2 has pulled back and moved into the city. The Avenues are all included in Ward 1. Ward 3 remains basically the same. It got a little more area. And then in this area, Spring Lake is now combined with Elkins Lake. They have some similar water infrastructure, and some of the roads coming out to them are used by both groups. And so some council members felt that it would be fair to include that all in one ward.
Was there any conflict when trying to create this map?
Well, there was a lot of input this year, which was great. Now, obviously, we don't do redistricting that often. I wasn't here with the last time we did redistricting, but we did have a fair number of citizens who called, emailed, came to council meetings and spoke to their council members, and that actually was a really great part of the process. Council members were also able to discuss this at several meetings. We had public hearings, and that helped them to really narrow down how they wanted to make changes. This map is quite different from the very first map that we proposed in this process, and so it's come a long way.
Thank you again. Well, that's all the time we have for now. Join us next time on Huntsville Coffee Break. See you next time.